Hi, and welcome to episode 7 of Pilgrims of Hope, this exciting journey that takes us to Jubilee 2025. We started off in September speaking about background information on Holy Year, Jubilees, and why these are celebrated, and what they mean for the Catholic faithful and for the wider community. This month, we're looking at vicariates and parishes. In this episode, though, we focus specifically on parishes and what persons in parishes and communities can do to become involved in Jubilee 2025. So with us this afternoon in the studio are 3 very knowledgeable persons. We have, to my right, Sherrinne Goodridge, who is a member of the Jubilee 2025 Planning Committee. On my left, Father Christo, Robert Christo, who I think everyone knows, who is the Vicar for Communications. And next to him is Renee Smith, who is with CAMSEL and is the digital specialist at CAMSEL. So welcome, ladies, and Father Christo to our program this evening.
So excited.
I know, it is an exciting time. So we're speaking about parishes. And we spoke earlier in earlier episodes about plenary indulgences, holy doors. What can parishes do to get involved in Jubilee 2025?
Well, I like 2 things you said initially, celebratory and communities. It's more than parish, so I just like that. It reminds us of Lent for the time of repentance and reconciliation and graces and pilgrimages, but it's different. Jubilee is celebration. Its very name is Jubilante. And why celebrate? Because God is mercy. And he forgives and he forgets. However, there's a stain that remains, something called temporal punishment. You have a nail and you take out the nail after your sin. It's a spot. You're playing football and you break the woman in the window or something. She says, well, your father, I forgive you. You're a good Catholic, you're a priest. Go back by so and by the window. So there is a consequence of it. And that's important to know that though you get wiped away eternal punishment from the sacrament of reconciliation, we're going to come about it, it's not necessarily confession. There is a stain that remains. So the indulgence is not, as some people think, you're buying a ticket, you're selling salvation, you're forgiven. So no, it's a consequence. I last you there's a black and blue mark. Try to wipe away that. And the church has a treasure of merits. Those sins you retain, they are whatever you're bound on earth. We have power with the saints and the martyrs and the whole mystical body, and we could pull on that treasure for those instances, and the Pope says you can do X, Y, and Z and get that full plenary indulgence, remission of the consequence of sin. We cannot forgive sin. It's not a free thing to go and sin. You get forgiven. That is stupid. You have to have the consequence and forgiveness. But this is truly the plenary the forgiveness of the consequence of the stain of the window or the black and blue mark, right? And that's powerful. And it's a period of grace, and it's celebratory. So we have to get that in the heads of people. So I think for my own parish, I'm talking personally, we're not where we are because the catechesis need to be done, the media has to get it done. People aren't even coming to church for more Jubilee. So when you tell them what is going to be, what's at stake, I think for me, I'm starting to do the whole theology and the spirituality of the sacrament of reconciliation. I'm moving away from the word confession. Since 1973, post-Vatican II, the Pope says, at that time, it's a celebration of mercy. God reconciles, he forgets and forgives. So that cannot be confession, long time you're wearing black. Well, and for
and
everything.
We're all wearing dark colors.
Yes, strange. We should be celebratory, but we didn't get a memo. But it's important we go to celebratory mode and understand this whole catechesis about the sacrament of reconciliation. I was telling Renee, I did a little program on YouTube to get the theology, the background of the sacrament. We have long, long lines for communion and healing and all this stuff, but nobody wants to go to the sacrament. And that is why that's one of the criteria to do for your indulgences. You have to go to the sacrament, detach from sin, make amend, make up, and celebrate that sacrament to get the indulgence. Just can't stamp the passport and come and say you're going to get it. So the catechesis is what I want to do, infiltrate the regular confession, make it available, and teaching about this from the pulpit. I think through the internet, yes, but the people who are coming physically in the pews need to understand it. I have a lot of energy behind Parang and Fet and Harvest. I intend to build that vibes because that's celebratory planning skills and how they go all out to make it happen. I want to get that energy into a Jubilee hub, and something like outside the door of the church, I'm going to put a Jubilee caravan, and just all the stuff we do for Harvest and Parang and Fet to create this kind of energy around Jubilee for me. I don't know if that can be taken up, but that's what can be done. I think it's the catechesis, explanation, the understanding, and building a kind of hub and an activity, what you already have.
Yes, building on what you already have. And other plenary indulgences in addition to the sacrament of reconciliation,
it's communion and the doors and visiting site. So when you put all that together, it's very meaningful. And I don't want it to be like a tick off of a calendar and event, and when it's done, it go back to the old. The whole spirit have to live on. You know, the spirit of Jubilee has to live on continuously.
Yes, absolutely. It's not just a one and done event, but it is a journey that we're on, and this is one of the milestones in the journey, and we take from this and we continue on the journey. This is how I see it. Exactly, absolutely.
And the way we do things, and mercy continues, and forgiveness continues.
Yes. Forgiveness is ongoing.
Hello. Seems hard to do, far more continue.
It is a very difficult thing to do. It's easy to speak about, but it's very difficult to do. So Sherrinne, tell us some of the things that can happen in parishes. What can parishes do to get involved and to get excited about Jubilee year?
Okay, thank you. I would say it's really up to the parish, really, to determine what exactly they should do. From a committee standpoint, we won't have like set rules that they would have to follow to say, well, this is how you ought to go about the achieving, you know, the Jubilee year and all these things that we set out as a committee. But I just want to agree with Father in terms of getting the participation from the parish priest. It is important for the parish priest to be involved in this because ideally, although the parish priest might say no, but the parishioners sometimes listen to the priest, and it comes, the information comes better from the priest rather than a lay person. So if I go up on the sanctuary and say, you know, come and be involved in this Jubilee year, people may not take me on. But if the parish priest comes and says, this is what is happening in the year, this be a part, this would enhance your spirituality, then I think parishes would be more inclined to be involved in this event.
Because it's an endorsement.
Correct.
It's an endorsement by the parish priest.
And this is not just with Jubilee, but also different things in the parish, different archdiocesan events. So just for simple example, like the synod, the consultations we would have had prior, if the priest endorses it, then people would be more inclined to participate. So in order to get the parishes involved, I think the priest has a vital role to play in this as well. I'd also go back to my point from how much ever weeks ago that I said, for persons to be involved, persons need to be sensitized and they need to understand. Looking and listening from other persons, I realize that people still don't understand this whole Jubilee concept. And I'm hoping that they are willing to understand more with these sessions that we're having, these segments that we're having, that persons really pay attention to what this Jubilee thing is. And then we could say we're getting the participation from the different parishes. So I would say for parishes to be more involved, how they could do this. One, get the handouts from the parish offices, because as the committee, we would have arranged several documents to assist the parishes in understanding what this Jubilee is, different activities that they could participate in, and different groups in the communities, these different people from the various walks of life. So we have those things there. It's really just for the information to be disseminated from the parish offices, because each parish office by now should have the information. And once that is transcends into the parishes, and of course the parish priests endorsing the information, then parishes could utilize the resources that we have, and they could be involved in that way. So that's what I would say.
And you know, communication is never one and done.
Correct.
So you don't hear things, you don't hear everything the first time you hear it, or the second, third, fourth, or even fifth time. We have to repeat. Repetition is so important. And also presenting information in different ways. Because people respond to different modes of communication. So I want to speak to Renee now a little bit, because Renee is very involved in digital communication strategy from CAMSEL's point of view, but she's also deeply involved with many of the media teams in the parishes. So, Renee, from your point of view, dealing with media teams in the parishes, what are some of the things that these media teams can do to get the communities excited about it, to keep the message top of mind, and to keep building on the messages as we go along?
So I want to start off by saying our parish media teams are so dynamic and inspirational. Like, I don't want to call any names. I don't want to list out anybody, but we have so many parishes that are ready to move and are ready to be the movers and shakers within their communities. In terms of how they can get involved, I would strongly recommend that they pay attention to the various material that is being disseminated with regards to the Jubilee year. Pay attention to the Catholic news, visit different Catholic credible websites that has information about our pilgrimage and pilgrimage of hope and the Jubilee year. Also, coming off of Sherrinne's point about the parish, the offline parish engagement, the parish leaders. Now we have a lot of leaders on these parish teams, and they really have, they could be endorsers too, and they have a powerful voice within the parishes. They really are persons that could help mobilize persons on the ground to get content. And when I say content, I'm talking about video content or online posts or graphics or however the parish would like to disseminate information. I think offline and online, having that balance is very important.
And from the pulpit as well, because yes, we would hear some of the notices and forget as we get to our cars as we leave, but when you repeat that, and then you have it reinforced on the website of the parish, and then as you said, Catholic TT, and anywhere else, and we use all of the social media vehicles that we can, and in addition to that, we go to our traditional media too, because we must not forget that there are many people who still depend on the traditional vehicles. You know, the printed newsletter or the pamphlet or the notice board, the Catholic news, exactly, so that we make sure that we reinforce, so that it's almost like everywhere you turn, you can see something on Jubilee, and that is what is going to help to get us excited. So parishioners have a role in it as well. And I would think that if parishioners who are listening and looking at this program feel that I have an idea about how we can promote, speak up. Speak up. And to whom should they speak?
Well, they would have different ministries, but if we're talking about the parish media teams, look out for your parish media people. Look out for them. They're very present. See them with their camera. You see them giving announcements. The mats as well.
I think I wanted to endorse Sherrinne's point of let it not be priest-centric only and pulpit-centric only. You see, the Jubilee team has a creative way of endorsing and encouraging stewardship. So the Jubilee team could see an encouragement to get a team, we call it, I want to call it Ambassadors of Mercy. Hospitality is going to be coming in key. So you have to pull all that, but you can't leave it on the priest only. So if you get a Jubilee team and a Jubilee ambassadors, you have a kind of energy behind it to engage the youth and also to engage the families and the peripherals. You know, like last week a man passed and just tipped his hat outside the church, and I'm saying, he's ready. He says, or they're doing anything for Mary, whatever, take a $10. So those are the people we have to pull in, you know, and that Jubilee is for that, for them too.
But I'm glad you brought that up because we also, the committee, we've also created subcommittees of different persons that will be on the ground as well, assisting, whether it would be parish level, vicariate level, etc. So yes, it's not only the priests, but you know, priests have a vital role as well, but as you all rightfully said, parishioners have a big role to play in this, and leaders in the parishes also have a huge part to play. The MAT, the parish council, all these persons in the parish have a big role. And as the committee, we realize we know we can't do it alone in terms of sharing that information. It's not the parish priest's responsibility alone as well. And that's why we too decided subcommittees, they could also be the driving force of this. So for example, as the youth rep on the committee, I am still working on a subcommittee of persons that would deal specifically with the youth for this year of Jubilee. Now, based on the conversations that I would have had with the youth ministry leaders of the Archdiocese some time ago, they didn't say they wanted an event per se, but they were looking more of the spiritual aspect of it. How can my spirituality increase? And I say all that to say, the subcommittee that I'm working on, our focus would be on facilitating that call, that the need that they would have vocalized. So retreats, more retreats for the youth ministry leaders in the Archdiocese, and really giving them the tools and the resources that they would need to carry out this ministry. So just keeping in mind, yes, we all have a part to play in persons being more aware of the Jubilee and having a better understanding then of what the Jubilee is and what we ought to do.
I want to add that to, from my own experience, the creativity among the youth in terms of storytelling and spoken word has gone crazy in terms of that. So we teach them through that. And the storytelling, I have a particular situation where the last extraordinary year, 1918, I think, 2018, when Pope Francis called the Year of Mercy, we had a mercy thing in the cathedral, and a woman said she would give up $100. And I'm saying, oh gosh, why? You cannot do it. She says, no, I felt like it. And under the door, you won't believe me, but somebody came, a homeless guy, walked straight through the door, went to that woman, gave her the $100. So those stories tell us, rather than the script only and the pulpit only, I think storytelling for family is important. And if Mother Teresa says, if you want change, go and fix your family. I can add, if you want to fix crime, go and fix your family. And if we get the families to do the forgiveness and who fighting for land and this and enter into the indulgences and the whole site and the pilgrimage and the post-Jubilee, we'd have started with a good mix to start changing society.
Yeah, let's speak a little bit about that and some of the activities that parishes can get involved in. Because we've spoken about the plenary indulgences, we've mentioned retreats, and retreats not just for the youth, but retreats generally. And there are other activities that I know the committee would have come up with, and every month there's a theme. And the parishes are being asked to be aligned as best as possible with the theme for each month and get involved in particular activities. Would you care to share some of those activities?
Right, so on vicariate levels or parish levels, those are really not, the activities aren't created by the committee.
No.
Right? Those are entirely up to the parishes or the vicariate.
They're suggestions.
Yes, we have suggestions. So we have different groups of persons that we're looking at. So for example, the month of July is specifically for youth, young adults, and some other different groups, right? So based on that, the parishes know, well, they would have gotten the different groupings of persons and the months allocated, right? So they will see that and they'll be like, okay, how can we get those groups involved? Or how could we attend to the needs of those groups of persons? What can we do as a parish? So for example, for the month of mental health, no, not mental health, health workers, health professionals, it was suggested we could look at the OLPH. OLPH is right next to the hospital, right? And we could, who knows, we could have a mass, offer up health professionals from, St. Anne's, all these parishes that are close by to churches, what do they call it? Health places, facilities, yes. We could do something like that. But again, this is probably a vicariate level. They could come up with this idea, or even a pamphlet with a prayer, bookmark with a prayer for mental health.
Parishes can do that. Parishes can do that as well.
I like that missionary because I think that's a live on with the spiritual and the corporate works of mercy. Even when you go to the sites, the pilgrim sites, you're not only going to go there and pray only, and you stop out early, you go, you carry, you make a lime, you make it. But in that community, there may be something significant about the poor. So like in St. James, you could have gone to the poorhouse. St. Anne's, you go to the psychiatric ward. You extend yourself out of the site into a real pilgrimage. So you're taking the Jubilee spirit out of the site and even further than 2025.
And it's a form of evangelization.
And you
take a form of evangelization.
Pope Francis asking us to go out to the peripherals, and you're living it out through this.
And you have to step out of your comfort zone.
It's no longer tick on the calendar.
You step out of your comfort zone. So those are parish level, vicariate level. There are things that we are looking at on an archdiocesan level, and not specifically the Jubilee Committee being the ones in charge of. So we have the Eucharistic Congress that will be happening next year. That is part of the Jubilee celebrations. And then we're supposed to have something like a Mercy Village, but Hope instead. That too would include that whole Jubilee aspect, and all commissions, companies, all these persons will be involved in this. It's an archdiocesan event. So those are some activities that persons could be involved in on an archdiocesan level, but then there are the aspects of parish level and vicariate level. Now, we know there are certain people, the same old groups of persons that will participate in these things, but the idea behind it is not just for the regulars, the 5 people from the parish that are accustomed doing everything, but
we
it's
want
really,
them, but
yes, we want them. Don't get me wrong, we want them. But we also want the persons that just sitting on the pews.
And even though you don't get them, the communication can let people get a taste of that. Secular media, radio, you know, people get a taste and say, I want to do this. And maybe next year I want forgiveness. Jubilee, oh, there's confession, there's Eucharistic adoration, there's intention of the Pope. The learn is a continual problem. We may not get everybody on board right away.
Yes, definitely. So once the parish office, you know, they at least put up the calendar that we have in the parishes, let them know these are the groups that we're looking at for this month. What are some things that you could come up with? And it doesn't have to be a grand gesture.
And do all at the same time.
Exactly. So there will be large banners that will be distributed to the parishes. Those will be put on the fence so that anybody passing in front of a parish would know that something is going. It doesn't matter because this holy year is for everybody. It's for everybody. And we have the pilgrimages that are the pilgrimages to the holy sites that will be going on, that will be organized by parishes as well. Yes, certainly individuals can do the walk, but parishes will organize their group to go. What are some of the things that that parishioners can do to get involved? It's not just on the hospitality side.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I would say I'm looking specifically at youth right now, because I feel like a lot of the young people would only be familiar with their parish and not other parishes. And I just remember when I was in confirmation, we did 9 churches. I didn't know what I was at that time, but I was just like, okay, we're going to different churches. First time.
Just moving.
Just moving.
Doing something.
I was excited, and all of us was excited to be there. And I just remember the first time I went to St. Patrick's, I was like, wow, here's so lovely. And I just felt like a saint.
You see what converts sometimes? Beauty, truth, and goodness, not talk.
And I think St. Patrick's, don't quote me, I have not gone there since I went there, however long that was.
Oh dear.
But I feel like there was a stained glass somewhere there, or someone of the parishes had a stained glass. And I was just like, wow. Back then, I was on my Jesus high. I still am. But, you know, I didn't know much things then. So being in that space, I just felt like so
much
holy,
graces,
you know,
graces.
The halo over my head.
Oh my gosh, it was hovering.
And so I just think now, this sacred sites, having to visit these different places, I think it will stir up something in
and they like to move and be like animation, you know?
And that by itself, it strengthens fellowship between parishioners and young persons.
And fill out the passport. Remember, gold bonds last a long time.
And families, families, because you can mobilize your family to go together. And you spoke about strengthening the families. There are things like family prayers that can be encouraged. Use different months to encourage family prayers. There's the sacred doors. We can have a sacred door in a home. In our earlier episode, Rhonda pointed that out. That we can do that. Families can do that in their homes. You know, they've got a sacred door. Family prayers, we can do that.
You bring something sacred home, the domestic church.
I'm thinking like, okay, on a parish level, you know, we have our cliques in our parishes. And I think one of the problems that we have in church is that we're so disconnected from each other. It's so distorted. And so this going to the different sites could be a way of strengthening the church bond, the church family, and bringing persons together. So I would encourage all the parishes to be involved, to go to a church that you're not familiar with, one of the sacred sites, and really just look at it as I am building my faith community, I'm building my parish community.
People
and
like
that
competition.
And you're meeting people from other parishes.
I'm thinking the passport ceremony. As soon as they get it, they make a big thing in the church. Because they want to come and see something happen.
Yes.
They fill out their form, you know?
Yes.
So that passport filling out could be very creative and enticing for them to bring something.
It's very important.
And also a road march, a Jubilee road march. You know, so we have it's just almost like a 1977, the church had one, you know.
Yes.
Going down San Fernando, down there happened. The church changed it around and going down Assembly 77, whatever. So we remember things, you remember the stained glass. I remember that song, I remember the passport.
Yes.
Those imagery stay with us to make that leap of faith.
And I think when persons visit too, I think what is being planned, a lot of historical and little gems
heritage.
that you will be able to be privy to when you go to these sites.
Yes, because the parishes are being asked to form their committees, their hospitality committees, to welcome the pilgrims, to be warm, but also to share with them historical facts,
like a tour guide,
artifacts.
so that whole thing in Lourdes
like
and Fatima, you could get a nice spiritual tour guide.
Yes.
So you're not really telling me the door there, the toilet there. You know, you're explaining everything. Experience and encounter.
Yes.
And after you finish here, Tortuga, can we go and visit the old people here? You have to make that link.
Yes.
And also when you're coming to the pilgrimage, like a little party fete, like when Maracas, you stop there for this, you stop there for the double, you stop there.
Yes.
Those are nice moments, holy moments to encounter.
Yes.
And those things we can encourage.
Definitely.
So they're celebratory, but they're also holy.
Oh, yes.
They're sacred.
Yes.
Because at the end of it, good has to come from it. You know,
And
we have to be
continuation.
touched, and it has to continue, because as we said earlier, it is a journey. And every month, there are 12 months in a year. So every month, parishes can focus on some activity.
Something.
And people would know this month it's going to be whatever, the family, this month we're going on the pilgrimage to this particular parish, we're going on to this particular holy site, etc. And anything else that they want to do. You spoke about bazaars and all that. All of those things can be incorporated within
a lot of energy around that.
Entire holy year. All
And I
of
also
these
think
things can.
the social and the global issues don't go away after Jubilee.
Absolutely.
So that if you just turn off after that, you just, it wouldn't make any connection. It continues your spiritual renewal, the solidarity with Holy Father and mercy. Mercy continues. People hurt you every day.
It is meant to be touching. It is meant to change us. I think that's what has to happen.
That's the purpose of our pilgrimage.
That is what is supposed to happen. We're supposed to be changed. But this has been a fabulous conversation. Lots of high energy, fueled in part by the gentleman on my left here. But it has been a wonderful discussion. I'm really hopeful that parishes would, get excited about it and would come forward and volunteer. We have a lot more coming up in episodes to come. We're going to be going even more granular. We're going to be looking at the family specifically. We'll look at youth specifically. We will look at evangelization specifically, and how during this holy year, next year, Jubilee 2025, we can reach out to everyone, all the Catholic faithful, but more. We want to reach out to Trinidad and Tobago. We want to change Trinidad and Tobago. And Jubilee year 2025 must be able to do that.
Amen.
Thank you.
Great.
You're welcome.
If you can raise your eyes to the horizons of renewal and restoration, if you can open your ears to the voice of the Beloved who calls you to hope and not despair, if you can reach out and forgive, heal and restore in spite of the hurt and darkness, then you will realize a jubilee of hope and restoration for our world. And you would have made a journey of hope. Come, join us in this pilgrimage of hope as it becomes a reality in the life of the Church. And truly, it will be a jubilee to celebrate.